I just want to say ahead of time that I'm not going to diss the Marvel or the DC universe.
Oh, no, no, absolutely not.
Love those movies.
Oh,
let's just get that off the table.
We're not going there. But
okay.
I actually do have a question about that for you, but it's not my first one.
Okay.
My first question is about how, I mean, with Avatar: The Way of Water and the first Avatar, the conversation often is about the advancement of VFX, the advancement of the technology you're using as a filmmaker. But I would
the audience doesn't give a shit.
Well, see, here's what I find interesting. You've previously made such incredible films, which also advance technology, but I would love to know, is there any kind of movie-making tricks or technology you still use from movies like Terminator and Titanic in Avatar: The Way of Water?
The old school stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the old school stuff doesn't apply to the kind of stuff we're doing now. We used to, like, for example, really in the early days, paint on glass, do literally matte paintings on glass. I did that for the Corman films and for John Carpenter's Escape from New York and things like that. But that you don't do that now. It's all digital. We made the transition. Like, I founded a company called Digital Domain in 1992. And the idea was, let's vault ourselves into an all-digital future. And we were the first company to do all-digital compositing. Everybody else was still on optical printers and things like that. I just figured it was time to turn the page, So as much as I cherish the memories of those old-school techniques, we don't do that anymore. Sure. And I'm not interested in doing that just for some kind of quaint technology.
Interesting. Now, you mentioned Marvel and DC, and all these comic books. Since the first Avatar, there's been a boom in comic book films.
Sure.
Very visual effects heavy films.
Yes.
I'd love to hear, do you see anything that they're doing there and think of it as kind of motivation to continue raising the bar, or even a challenge to meet it and exceed it?
Look, what happens is the more people are doing visual effects around, and obviously the big comic book superhero films have been driving the sheer volume of the industry, right? And the rising tide of technique raises everybody together. It gives you higher quality artists. You've got more tools and plugins and code. You've got more talented people writing code and simulations and all that sort of thing out there. And then, as we're putting our team together, and as Weta Digital is constantly having to, have new hires and so on, it's coming out of that pool. So it improves everything together. Now, that said, Weta FX, as it's now known, is the best, right? I mean, ILM does great work, but when it comes to the kind of emotive, facial stuff that we're doing, I mean, Thanos, come on, give me a break. You saw this movie. It's not even close.
What you guys did is incredible. I mean, it's the most immersive.
What Weta did. We tee it up for them. We have the pipeline that feeds into their pipeline. But what comes out the end of that back to me, I literally sometimes sit there in review sessions just going, are you seeing what I'm seeing?
Yeah.
Sometimes you can understand the character's inner monologue with themselves and what they're feeling even before they say a word.
And they're underwater, so it has to come through in the face.
Well, let's be clear.
Sure.
Most of the emotional scenes take place above water.
Yes.
The water is part of the beauty, part of the wonder, and part of the jeopardy, and some of the most terrifying stuff in the film takes place, in and under the water.
Sure.
But the emotional stuff, sometimes it's just a simple dialogue scene.
Sure.
But it's not simple.
Yeah.
Because that's where you're exposed. That's where you've got no kind of dress up with effects to hide behind. It just has to be real. It's right there.
Awesome. Yeah.
But they're not real. They're made out of pixels. They're ones and zeros.
Could have fooled me.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's
we
incredible.
did. We did, right? Or at least I think we wanted to get to the point where the audience was willing to suspend disbelief and just go with it that they're real.
Yeah. Now, we all know you have directed one comic book film with the 2006 hit Aquaman starring Vinny Chase.
Yeah, it's the most successful film I never directed.
But there was talk of Spider-Man. How was Upon a Time for you?
How about life imitating art, and Aquaman actually comes out and is a big hit?
Right. Now, there's two questions they want me to ask you. One is, you think we'll ever see Avatar get spin-off films or shows on Disney Plus, and also whether you'll direct a comic book movie. So I'll just frame it this way. Which one of those do you think is ever more likely?
They're both pretty unlikely. I have no interest in directing a comic book film. I was very interested in Spider-Man, but that was a unique thing. I had a personal, love of Spider-Man, and then that ground has been so, kind of well served by other people. And in terms of spinning off from Avatar, the problem is the characters are photoreal CG, and it doesn't really fit a TV pipeline kind of model yet. Now, maybe 10 years from now, if we inject enough machine deep learning and AI into the process, it might be possible to collapse down from a 1 year timeline to do a shot down to closer to real time. I don't know if we'll get to real time, but I think we might get close enough to do television. But it won't be for I'd say minimum 5 years, maybe more like 10. But if Avatar becomes a universe, if it becomes a persistent world for people, and the desire is there, yeah, I could see that happening eventually, just not soon.